Hey guys, let's see here. Okay, we got that. So, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm sitting out in the garage. I started a print in a lovely shade of High Five Blue. It's the little robot that Xander from Fun King 3D designed. And we split it down the middle and took off his arms. So we can do some fun things like do color changes, color changes, and bring out some of the details. Plus, we made some little holes so that we can put the arms on and make them posable. So we're just starting with the body pieces right now. So it's got to go to 6 millimeters tall, and then I get a color change. So it's been printing for, I don't know, a couple minutes. So the other things I've been working on, let's see, maybe switch this, flip back to OBS. Not that one. How about that one? So I've got these pieces, which will become a, so that's the top part of it, that'll become a spool holder. So here's the bottom piece, and I've got all these oak dowels that I have left over from making legs. These are the old style legs that I used to make for my modules. I'm not using this style anymore, so they got funky holes drilled in them, but that'll go in there. Another one goes at the other end of this, and then two little uprights go on into here, and then this, the dowel just sets in there, so it makes it real easy to slide a spool on. And you make this as long as you want. This one's probably about 18 inches long. So that makes it handy if you want to do color changes. You can have a bunch of spools set up. Let's see if I do this one. So on the big picture there, make sure I'm getting the audio. Yeah, looks like I am anyway. You can't really see it. Let me readjust that. So on the shelf above the printer is one of those spool holders. See that? Yeah. See it with the spool on it. Oops. Sit down there. Right. We'll adjust this a little bit. Whee! That looks exciting. So we'll just kind of hang out here and see what happens. Let's put you back on that one. And if you guys are in the chat, let's see. Because I don't do this very often, how do I share this out? How do I get that? I can never find the stupid link. I see there's 2 people watching. Oh. YouTube, why do you not make this super easy to find the link to tweet? Hey there, Kentari Star. Welcome. Yeah, this is going to be a interesting little stream. It's just me fiddling around. Add stream info. No, go live. I know, Kaujuge? Where are you at? Good morning. Let's see, it's 11:53 p.m. and soon we'll have to set our clocks forward an hour because we're on stupid daylight savings time. Oh. I'm sure that the link to my stream is right here. I just can't, oh, there, right there. It's at the bottom. Fine. There we go. Yeah, it's way down at the bottom of the stream. So if you guys want to see anything or have questions, type them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. I'll show you some of the other crazy prints that I've gotten. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I'm not watching it live because I'm watching the YouTube stream instead of the OBS stream. Alright, we're back to OBS. So I've got this Star Wars, supposed to be a Christmas ornament, but that thing's pretty heavy. And it prints in a couple pieces. Now, when I printed this, I printed it on my Cetus, which is this printer right here. And this middle section warped a little bit, and you can see a little bit of warping right here. If I hold this steady, you can see that the gap gets a little wider right along in there. So to combat that, what I did was I made a new model for the little rib. It's supposed to be the trench that goes around the Death Star. And originally it was just printed flat with 2 holes in it, and it was the same thickness all the way through. Well, what I did was I cut away the inside and depressed it a little bit so that you end up with just a ring and a thin disc to hold the 2 apart, and that way when I glue it together, come on, there we go, then it'll hide, it'll help hide some of that. Whoops, well, there we go. It's all discombobulated in parts. Let's see the other thing that I've printed. Oh, these things. So, oh, we have community mailboxes at our house, and all the meth heads keep grabbing onto the lock that's in the cheap little door, and with a pair of vice grips and twisting it and breaking in and stealing your mail and trying to do identity theft and whatever. So I made these little discs that have a little taper that are just the thickness of the lock, outside of the lock mechanism. I've been gluing them onto the doors so that they can't, they're glued on there good and tight, and they can't get their vice grips on it to twist the thing. And then I have this little block It's keyed a hole, and this would fit on the inside of the door. So the lock mechanism comes through, the lock mechanism body comes through this keyed hole here, and this hits on the inside edge of the little stamped steel or stamped aluminum or whatever it is door, and the fastening nut goes on the back side. And then even if they do get their pliers on it, this will keep that body from rotating and they can't get the door open. At least it'll slow them down. So that's one of my other little projects that I've made. And let me go get a foot and I can show you. Let's see here. I'm going to shrink YouTube down. And Hino Caljuve or Caljuve, whichever way you say it, I don't know. Where are you? 10 p.m. So I'm in Washington State. Where are you guys at? Oh, I'll go get a foot here. Okay. So the printer that is in the big screen is the Prusa i3 Mark III, and then this one is the little Cetus, and then up behind me on the shelf where the overhead camera is the Prusa i3 Mark II. So the other thing that I make is this. So I'm involved in N-scale trains, and we have modules. British Columbia, okay. And we need adjustable height legs. And so what I did for a cheap way to make legs, okay, so this is a PLA piece. And I'll get this on the big screen for you. Okay, so this is just a regular carriage bolt, and then this PLA cap or locking collar fits around the square on the underside of the carriage bolt, and then this foot is printed in a flexible, this is a flexible PLA, but it could be Ninja Flex or Cheetah or a somewhat rigid flexible. And then this will snap on to that little cap, and it's got little finger grips on it so that when it's threaded into the upper piece that goes into the leg, you can twist it and adjust the height on your legs, and it won't mark up the floor. Well, so Kantari, you're only about 300-400 miles from me. So I'm in the other Vancouver, Washington. All right. We're at 1.4 millimeters. We're going to go to 6, and then we can swap. Let's get this camera over here. So what I've chosen for so I'm using Protopasta i5 Blue for the main body, and then I've got a partial roll, an experimental roll, sample roll of Protopasta glitter. It's just a nice, it's got some big glitter in it. So that'll be the front of the robot. So I'm printing the blue all the way up to where his eyes and mouth and the little gear logo on his front are. And then I'll switch to this the silvery glitter and print the rest of it. And then the arms I have set up to print separately, and there'll be little pegs with them, so then you can pose his arms. And I've got some boots that I made for him, so the little guy will have some boots, and maybe we'll make some ray guns and stuff to put in his hands. So let's see, are you getting audio from... Getting audio from the Cetus, and we're getting audio from the webcam. So if I be quiet here, you can hear just how quiet the i3 Mark III is. It's insanely quiet compared to the Mark II. Right now, my Mark II, I'll show you the other parts. So the Mark II, I just finished putting a new fan duct and extruder cover on, because this had developed a crack down in here. What happened was I was testing printing PETG, which is this roll of filament I've got here, and it delaminated or came loose from the bed, and I had about a 90-gram wad of PETG on the hot end that was dragging around, and it kind of melted the fan duct and the extruder cover. So just replace those and have reloaded filament. And then this disaster is the Zone Star, which this thing came with this 2-into-1 extruder setup. I don't know if you can see it down in there, but it looks like they put JB Weld around the hot end throats to try and get it to seal up. But yeah, I've cleaned most of it off, but it was just oozing plastic down the heat block and not printing so hot. So I took this off, and this was the original mount. I mixed my own mount to hold an E3D V6 Cyclops. I put that in there, but what I found out was that once I did that, because now it's not leaking anymore, the extruders that they had, this is a Mark 8 extruder with this grooved bearing. Because the diameter of the drive gears, which this is a new drive gear, the other one was about 2 millimeters larger in diameter than this, and didn't have a groove in it. So once I replaced this once I replaced the hot end, the original drive gear, which is like this guy, couldn't develop enough torque to push filament, and so it was skipping badly. So I ordered some of these other drive gears, which give it a smaller diameter that it's driving from, but when I did that, it changes the filament path, so if you look down through there, it no longer lines up with where this gear is pushing. So I need to redo all these pieces and print new pieces and print a new extruder clamp mechanism, feed mechanism, whatever you want to call it. So that's a little ongoing project. There's my So that's another ongoing project. I don't think I have a print out here from that. I did have a couple of prints off of it before it really quit working, but I don't see one out here. So, but it's, wait, I might have something. Oh yeah, I do have some. So, one of the things that it did do, which is nice, these aren't the greatest parts, but it allows you to do color changes. I love my MK3. I bought it as a kit, and it took me about 10 hours to assemble it, even though I'd put together the MK2. The Mark III is a little different, but yeah, these things are just workhorses. They just print and print and print. And I've got the MK 2.5 upgrade coming for my Mark II, so it'll give me that removable bed. It'll give me the Bondtech extruder gears. I think it gives me the Pinda, the new Pinda probe. I think it gives me the filament sensor, but it still has the end stops and it's still going to be 24 volt. So, you know, you don't quite get everything with it, but the removable bed, I love that. That is awesome. And I really hope that Prusa gets their the ability to manufacture just the raw sheets up, where they can. Right now you can't buy more than what comes with the machine. I would like to have a couple more of the sheets. That way you could put, like the Cetus has a build tack sheet on it, which I've read that build tack works great for PETG. You don't have to put any bed prep. You don't have to worry about it sticking too hard, tearing up the PEI. So I would love to have one of those removable beds on the Prusa with a build tack sheet, and then possibly one set up with just like packing tape or whatever, or well, you can't do Garolite, but whatever nylon prints on, so that I could have different print surfaces and swap them in and out. So my Cetus didn't come with a build tack. It came with their proprietary coating on it, but I managed to run the nozzle into it and crash and screw it up, so I just sanded it off and put a build tack sheet on it, and it's been working great for me. But this little candy cane, this is like a ribbon candy that my grandma used to have this kind of candy at her house during Christmas. The Cyclops, or the mixing extruder that came on the Zone Star, lets you do these color changes unattended, and you can actually, it has a virtual extruder where you can actually mix the two, so you can print percentage wise with both filaments at the same time and get a blend of colors from one to the other. It's pretty awesome. So these did come off of the Zone Star, but I'm hoping for better, not so stringy, not so under extruded. This part compared to what I printed on my Prusa is extremely undersized. It should be a lot fatter than that. It's a two wide layer, two passes wide, and it's a lot flimsier than what came out of the Prusa. So, but that's that machine. I'll get it running. It came as a kit, and it was missing a bunch of parts. It had the wrong Z end stop on it, and was missing a mount for the X end stop, and the wiring was wrong on it, and what else? I don't remember what else, but anyway, it was kind of a mess. But for 220 bucks, what do you expect? Yeah, you will love your MK3 when you get it. Now, originally I started out with an M3D Micro, and that basically because when did I get that? 2015? Basically because I was intimidated by, I mean, I know electronics, but this is more than just electronics. A 3D printer is, especially a kit. It's electronics, mechanical, a bunch of tuning to get the thing to print right, and I wanted something that would just print out of the box, and hopefully I would not have to fiddle with it. Now, admittedly, the M3D is not that machine, but it did give me a good start into 3D printing, and encouraged me enough to go ahead and make the purchase of the Prusa i3 Mark II. And here we're, I did print a Jolbot. Now, this was printed on the Cetus. Cetus does a really good job, actually. It's a really nice little printer. And the only thing, well, I broke his arm, but that wasn't the printer's fault. And the only thing that didn't print was his little thumb. But other than that, he turned out pretty darn spectacular. The detail on his little leg joints is nice. A little bit of droopiness on the underhead side, but not bad. You know, so people ask what should he get? You know, for a beginner, doesn't want a kit, easy to assemble, good software. The Cetus software that comes with this thing, I throw all sorts of models at it. Well, these pieces here were printed on the Cetus. Now I do print on a raft, but the software that they have does an excellent job, and the rafts are really easy to remove. For just being able to throw stuff at this and print, you can't go wrong with that thing. I think it's $2.99, and for that price, this is a heck of a little printer. I've seen the Monoprice Mini. I think Joe Mike Farinella was walking around at Midwest Rep Festival, or one of the festivals, and came across a Monoprice Mini, which is kind of like this machine. But what they had done is they had adapted, they took the Y-axis off and turned it into a turntable. And so basically it doubles your print area. So it becomes instead of being Y moving back and forth this way, it's Y rotates. And so you can print all the way around that whole build area. It's pretty cool. How high are we at right now? We're at 3.4 millimeters, so we're about halfway there, a little over halfway there. Oh yeah, and when you get your MK3, don't open the package of Haribos until you're ready to eat them. I left mine out here in the garage for 4 days and they kind of dried up. And then it's hard chewing. I don't have a lot of experience with other printers. Like I said, I started with a M3D Micro. My biggest problem with it was that the print bed was not flat, so it had a big curve into it, and it only had 5-point leveling, so it was really tough to get a print, but I did get it printing, and also printing without a wrap. After I'd had that, they announced the M3D Pro, and I did back that and actually got it and had it for a day, printed with it, and upgraded the firmware, and it quit working. So they sent me a new main board, replaced that, it printed for a day. And is it the heat bed quit working? Yeah. Replaced that, the heat bed, it printed, but the heat bed would not shut off. As soon as you plugged the thing in, the heat bed started heating up, and you had no control over how hot the heat bed was. Plus, the glass was warped on it. And so they sent me an RMA. I sent it back into them. They had it for 2 months. Sent it back to me finally. Said it worked fine. I plugged it in, started a print, printed one benchy with it, and the belt for the Z-axis broke. And at that point I said I'm done with it, because they wanted me to pay to ship it back to Maryland again to fix it, and I'm like, you guys just went through the whole thing. So I posted on their Discord that it was up for sale. I'd take $300 for it. A guy jumped on it. I said, well, are you interested in he gave me $300 plus $50 shipping, and I said I'll throw in the micro because it'll fit inside the Pro. So he gave me an extra $50 for the micro. So I got pretty much all my money back for the Pro and got rid of it and ordered my Mark III the next day. So I've had the Mark III up and running for about 2 weeks. Yeah, I was sick I had the flu for a while, but I really didn't, I started putting it together, got sick, took me 2 weeks to finally get out here and finish it up and start using it. So I haven't really printed all that much on it. Oh, I'll show you took me 4 times to get these things to print. So there's that spiral egg, wrapped egg thing on Thingiverse. Everybody's been tweeting about it and printing the heck out of it. And so it has this bottom piece. This is the ribbon that goes around the egg, and then this is the top piece. Oops. Yeah. Get up there. So I printed it. Let's get that up. There we go. So I printed it like this. Did I print it with? Yeah, I printed it with. I let Prusa Control slice it the first time. Told it use supports, and it printed a small amount of supports in the middle, but it failed when it got up about this high because it hadn't met the support. So then fortunately I came out here and stopped it before it was trying to restart. I came out and stopped it, scrapped that one, went back in with regular Prusa slicer instead of Prusa Control, told it to use a 60-degree angle for the overhang, so that would start support sooner, and that one made it oh so close, but it failed too. So this one I told it use 80 or 85 degrees. So I mean the support starts way out here, but it held it sturdy enough that it managed to print. And so then I printed bottom half with the same orientation, with the same supports, and it came out all right. So I got that part done. Now I'm analyzing because the egg that goes inside this is actually two spiral pieces that twist together. And I know that the Prusa probably could print those, but I'm wondering about printing them together, two of them the same color, and then I'll print two of a different color. Then I'll have to print two more of the ribbons, and then I can swap the colors and, you know, have two multicolor eggs with two ribbons. So I've got some gold. This is the Prusa silver. I've got some gold, and I've got some more of the glitter. I've got some protoplastic clear, and the dark smoke. Got coffee. What other interesting filaments do I have? Oh, and I've got some of the atomic filament. What do they call it? It's a spiral, or it's a satin. Emerald pearl swirl. Emerald pearl swirl. That's a neat looking filament, so I might do one in that. Yep, 4.4 millimeters. Two more to go. What's that? I'll switch back over to the other camera so you can see how he's doing. Yeah, that move right there, back and forth, that move on the Mark II is loud. In fact, my Mark II was so loud that I'm in a little room, 8x12 room in my garage, and you could hear the Mark II, even though this room is insulated, you could hear the Mark II outside the garage. Oof. I got to turn down, what am I on here? On medium. Let's put that on minimum. Oh, it's starting to warm up. It was 65 degrees outside today. Really nice day. Started clouding up. No, about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Hopefully we won't get rain tomorrow. I gotta finish my my wife's fireplace up. That's what I was working on earlier tonight. Doing a little bit of metal working. So what I printed was a little jig. Actually, a couple jigs. I'll go get the part that I made with it. So this is an outdoor fireplace, and it's going to have a chimney that comes up, and this will be the cap at the top of the chimney for it. So these little arms will get bent underneath and then bent back this way with so there'll be a screw, and the chimney is five-sided, pentagon shaped. But that's the piece that I put together. And what I had printed earlier was I made myself a little template with the holes. So I had taken this shape and all the CAD that I'd done for drawing the part, put in the holes on this flap piece. This is the bent piece. Yeah, it goes that way. This is the bent piece on the inside where it overlaps, so I can rivet it together. And put the holes in there. Then I took a copy of this shape and rotated it around with this. There's a tip here and a little witness mark over here. Rotated that around and transferred the holes to this side, and that made a little, and then I offset this by 3 millimeters to the outside and made just a little teeny wall that sticks up, so I could put the piece in there and tape it down. And then I have a hand punch with an 1/8 inch punch that I just lined up through my existing holes and punched through my parts, and that way all of those holes match up, and they were nice clean holes, where like with a drill, this is only 20 thousandths thick aluminum, so with a twist drill, stuff this skinny or thin, it tends to grab and bend it when you break through the, but I think it turned out pretty nice. I think it turned out pretty nice. You know, it's just to keep rain from going down the chimney. And then I made this little fixture just like this, that went on the end of the ear to put the hole right in the center and all the same distance away from the edge. So don't know that I'll ever use that again, but not much plastic. Took maybe half an hour to print it out. Really useful thing if you're into, I mean, you could use this like for woodworking if you were building multiple parts, little wooden puzzles, or something that you need a precision hole guide. You can print it a little thicker and use it to guide your drill into your piece of wood or whatever, or lay it out. That's the one thing I do like about 3D printing, is you get CNC accuracy without having big CNC machines. Okay, we'll put this back outside before I step on it or something. All right. Clean up a little bit while we're eating. We're at 5 millimeters. Not long now. Not long at all now. Okay. So we should, let's see, yeah, 6. Actually, we're changing at 6.8 millimeters, but we should start to see some top layers here in a couple more passes. So, do either of you have 3D printers already? I know you're getting an MK3. check my Twitters just because I'm curious. Because I had been tweeting a bit. See if I can mess up the stream by doing a bunch of stuff at once. Which I could if I fired up Fusion 360. Oh, well, it tweeted out the wrong. Huh. It didn't update my description. That's weird. So Kentari, what are you looking for? What kind are you looking for? Or what's your budget that you're looking for? And what are you going to be using it for? That's the big question. That's what I ask everybody when they say they want one. What do you want to do with it? I mean, I got the MK3 because, or MK2 also, because it'll go up to 300 degrees on the hot end, has the heated bed, so I can print ABS, PLA, PETG, HIPS, polycarbonate, nylon, or the new, like the bridge nylon and that sort of stuff. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in what you can print. But if all you're doing is printing knickknacks and headless cats and whatever, you may not need all that. I print a lot of functional prototypey things, and while I do use a lot of PLA, over the summer I definitely ran into the limitations of PLA, which means that stuff that I printed that I had out in my garage, not here inside the air-conditioned room, got soft and kind of melted. So here's another thing that I built. So this is the Cetus that I got was the Kickstarter version, and I got it for $1.99. They're $2.99 now, but mine's the Mark 1. And it had the problem of when you shut the power off, the whole arm would just drop to the table. I mean, full speed. So this is a 24 ounce weight that's counterbalanced it. I got a couple of groove bearings up here, got some fishing line hooked to a thing to give it a counterweight and stop it from crashing into the bed. That's one of the little things that I engineered up. That's the kind of stuff that I like to do. Structure prototyping, rapid prototyping concepts, maybe model train stuff. Oh, cool. What scale model trains? Because I'm N scale. Let's see. Let me go up here. It's my shelf layout. That's more shelf than layout, as you can see. It's got crap stacked all over the top of it. But there are trains on there. And some of my trees that I've been making. Hey, N scale. All right. Good man. Good person. So I'm wondering if you know, is it Mike that has the big N scale layout up in Vancouver? Mark Dance. Yeah, it's my problem is I get sidetracked with too many projects, and the layout that I started is not going to be the layout that I end up with. So as you get more ideas and get exposed to things and see the problems with your construction methods, you end up rebuilding it about 6 times before you're happy. And I don't know the shortcut around doing that, unfortunately. Oh, cool. Yeah. I met him at the NMRA National when it was in Portland a couple years ago. He invited me to come up there, but my problem is I work swing shift and I work a lot, so I don't get much time to go visit people. Even my local NMRA guys, I've never gone to any of the home layout tours, unfortunately. So if you're interested in N scale stuff, I know it's a lot of money, but if you have the ability to model in 3D, like using Mesh Mixer, Blender, ZBrush, or any of those other, Richard Zadim was talking about it on the Friday night, the Friday 3D printer community hangout last night. What was the name of that software? DAZ 3D, I think. And it has models in it, and it's like for animation. He was showing off a horse model that you could move the head and pose the head and pose the ears on the head, and it was really amazing. But then he has a Peopoli Moai, so that's about a $1,200 resin printer. But if you're into N scale and you wanted to do little figures and barrels and pallets and little forklifts and all that sort of jazz, and you're serious about 3D modeling, I would highly recommend one of those resin printers. The only reason I don't have one is I have 4 FDM printers, and resin tends to be a little bit messy, and I would probably end up, sorry, I'm clicking my micro switch. I would probably end up having a horrible mess of resin everywhere. 5.8 millimeters. So we're getting there. I see topish layers forming. I'm going to have to move this camera a little bit so you guys can see when I change the filament. Nope, that's too much. There we go. Yeah, there you go there. And then you can see the filament, I think. We'll get ready to change the filament. You can see how that goes. Okay. Yeah, and Mark has a bunch of YouTube videos on operating his layout. Looks like a very, very nice layout. I've only been to one operating session. That was Ryan Had's here in Vancouver. But again, working swing shift, and then they usually do their stuff on a Thursday night because everybody works days. Makes it hard. People I haven't seen, went to school with, haven't seen them in a long time. They run into them somewhere and they go, oh, we should go out for dinner or drinks or something a Friday night. I said, yeah, I get off at about 1:45. Where do you want to go? So yeah, I know. This is a bad habit. Even sitting here watching my own video, I could just sit here and watch the layers go down. There is something about watching a 3D printer print. That's pretty fascinating. I also built myself a mostly printed CNC. It's got a laser head on it, and just watching the laser cut, use your safety glasses, but just watching the laser do its thing, pretty cool. So I'm a machinist by trade, so I kind of have the natural inclination to tinker with mechanical things. What do you guys do for your jobs? Alrighty, getting close. 6.2, two more layers. This is a 0.2 millimeter layer height. I'm printing at it was 215 for the first layer, 210 now since we got up this high, and 60-degree bed. Excuse me. Is the audio sound okay to you guys? Because I do have two cameras running, so we're getting audio from that camera over there that's right next to the MK3, which may give us a little bit of an echo, I would think. Don't have a monitor speaker in here, so it shouldn't be backfeeding. And then I've got this camera sitting right here. It's sitting right in front of me. That's a Logitech what is that? C610 or something like that. Good. I know I had been using my Logitech, so I have a set of Logitech wireless headset, but they're USB, and I think trying to push video from two webcams, so this one and the one that's over there looking at the Mark III are plugged into the USB on this computer that I'm streaming from. The camera that's kind of giving you the overhead view, the up on the shelf view. That one is what is that thing? It's another little Logitech camera, but it's plugged into a Raspberry Pi that I am capturing the network stream, the MJPEG stream off of. So that's not causing any load on the CPU or the USB bus. It's just network traffic, and it's fairly low frame rate. But yeah, run the USB audio with two webcams through that wireless headset. While it's nice, I can listen and talk and not have any feedback, and you don't get sound wavering all over when I wander around. It does go robotic because the codecs, I assume it's the CPU load gets a little bit funky and it drops audio before it drops video. Right now I'm using about 14% CPU in OBS. Okay, 6.4, so we got one more layer to go, I think. Not sure how many layers past. It can't be very many past that for the rest of the model. Oh, that's a solid infill right there. So our little robot's going to have funky little silver sparkly glitter stripes down the front and back of his legs. It'll be alright. Agriculture, cool. A computer teacher. Yeah, that's what I'd like to do when I retire from my machinist job, is teach adult education courses in 3D modeling, 3D printing, making, woodcraft, metalcraft, resin casting. Love to come up with some curriculum that included model railroading, just model building in general. Hey, keep me busy. Okay, here we are. This should be our last layer. This color, anyway. Not the last layer of the model. So 1251. And actually it's 151 if I sprang forward right now, but I'm not going to do that till I wake up tomorrow. Okay. There's our signal. Boop. Press knob to unload the filament. Yeah, okay. Just hang on. Yes, the filament. Insert the filament and press the knob. Oh, come on. What are you doing? Okay, it's got a hold of it. It's a little more bent than I thought it was. And no, the filament is color's not correct, so go again. The filament's going in. Color's still not correct because I got a late load on it. Oh, now the blue's coming out. Okay. Let that go. Ooh, still it stops going. Come on. There it goes. Yes. And it oozes some more, and then it takes off, and I got it. Now here we go. Glitter. Ooh, sparkly. And we're going to get a solid top layer. Hurrah! Get a look at what it looks like there. That is some heavy duty glitter in that one. I think this little teeny roll that I got is one of their experiments where they were, this is from Protopasta, they were experimenting with what size of glitter flecks they should put in this stuff. I like it. It's pretty awesome looking. I printed out a nozzle box that has all my multiple nozzles in it. Probably got shoved off to the side here somewhere. It's in glitter too. I don't know where it's at right stuff in here. I'll find it. I find everything eventually. Spare parts for printers laying around the place. You can't really see how glittery that is on the camera, can you? This should not be covering the gear thing in his chest. It's not. Better? Worse? You kind of see it a little bit. Oh yeah, I see eyes and a mouth. Okay, so the glitter filament is kind of a clear filament, just with a bunch of glitter, but as it builds up, so you're going to see a little bit of blue through it, but as it builds up layers, it's going to get more and more and more opaque. Solid butt. I think we only go 4 or 5 layers on the glitter before we're done with the model. Hope it fills in solid, more opaque. And then I think I'm going to do gold for his arms. Make his arms a different color. I don't paint my models. I like seeing the finish of the filaments. Let the filaments work to make the model. Unless, of course, I'm making in-scale stuff. Then I paint it. So the next question is, do I assemble this and send it to Xander and Glenn at Fun King 3D, or do I just send them the pieces and have them assemble it? Give Xander something to do, assembling a gearbot. I think I'll probably assemble it. Looks like it's frosting, glitter frosting dipped right now. Oh boy. Alright, hopefully like 2 more layers. Get rid of most of that see-through, especially that little bit of unevenness that there is to it. How can we have computers with speech recognitions and we can't have cameras that can keep focus on things? I don't get it. Saw an ad for that new drone, a Skydio, I think is it what it is. Anyway, it's got like 9 cameras, flow control cameras and facial recognition cameras, and so it's looking all directions to avoid obstacles, but also track the person that it's supposed to track. That's some amazing tech going into those things. So when we're not to the top layer yet, because the extruder should slow down. It shouldn't be going that fast when it's doing its final top layer. It may not slow down much, but it should slow down some. Oh, that's looking glittery, huh? I mean, it's not a robot if it's not a shiny tin man. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the wood spool from Wizard of Oz. We need some flying monkeys, arch nemesis, to go along with the Gearbot robot Tin Man. done with the legs. At least on the back side, he's just doing the body. That's probably the top layer right there. See how slow it's going? Boy, that is some sparkly, sparkly glitter. An eyeball, another eyeball, little mouth, little gear logo thingy. Yep, and it looks like his legs are done, so they'll have a little bit of just a dusting of glitter on them. Not quite as solid as his body's going to be. Alright, well, when this is done printing this, I'm going to shut down the stream and I'll wait for that to cool a little bit and pull it off, and I'm going to start his arms, and I think I'm heading for bed. So thanks for joining me tonight, guys. Nice to meet you. Hope you have a good day tomorrow. And I'll post some pictures on my Twitter, which, what am I on Twitter? I don't remember what I am on Twitter. Tony W. Ryan, that's what I am on Twitter. There it is. You can see his face. Awesome. All right. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you later.